All right, guys. All right, so gold is apparently at all-time highs this morning. 37.62 for gold. Nvidia's down. Most markets are down. Let's talk about it in a second. Yeah, so futures are pulling back slightly today after recent record highs in the S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow last week. Investors are taking a breather that people think is kind of what the analysis is of this. One of the big news stories over the last weekend is that there's a major concern with the H-1B visa fee. The current administration proposed a $100,000 fee for new H-1B visas. So when they hire somebody from overseas, it's going to cost the company a $100,000 fee now. The major concern, for a lot of people, and they think it could weigh on tech and finance firms that rely on foreign skilled workers. They previously thought this fee was going to be yearly, but instead, it's only a one-time fee and will not apply to existing visa holders. Gold again at all-time highs. Altcoins and crypto are down today. If you take a look at Bitcoin and crypto in the wake of all this stuff, they are down. Here's Bitcoin down to under 113 in Bitcoin futures. Altcoins are down. XRP, Solana, all that stuff is down. There's also a potential risk of a U.S. government shutdown. So yeah, Apple is still doing okay. There's Bitcoin right here. Here's Apple. Apple's actually green today, supported by strong demand. iPhone 17 upgraded price targets for Apple. Nvidia is at 175. It's not really down too much. It's down slightly this morning. Micron and other chip stocks are going to be in watch ahead of earnings this week. Fox Corp is up 5%. Reports that Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch may participate in a bid to take over TikTok. Oracle is up a little bit to 311 from 308, potentially due to a $20 billion AI cloud deal with Meta. Here's Meta. Meta's down slightly. Tesla is up a little bit. Elon purchased $1 billion in stock not that long ago. Coinbase down with quick crypto weakness. Coinbase is at 333s. Yeah, government shutdown is in fear. A lot of people worried about it. Would the UN meet, shake markets? Maybe, probably not, but maybe. All right, so look, we're tapping this 85 level that we got here. We're watching that. Slightly lower morning. Kind of a pause after a big strong week last week that saw major indices, break highs. Market continues to digest the implications of the Fed's recent quarter-point cut. It was widely anticipated and cheered. Focus is now shifting to their future policy. Gold, again, doing really well on all this stuff. It's up. A potential U.S. government shutdown, kind of adding to uncertainty. Lawmakers face a deadline to pass funding legislation, and any failure to do so could introduce volatility. This week we have PCE inflation. On Friday we got GDP quarter two, third revision or final revision quarter two data on Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So that might influence things. But a lot of people are going to be watching. Sarah is up. You can see this. This is up after the news that Pfizer acquired the clinical stage biopharmaceutical company for a 4.9 billion. Could be worth up to 7.3 billion. FedEx is up. FedEx is down slightly. They're down from their earnings. All right, we're gonna do a poll here. Does the market rebound into today's open? Again, Nvidia slightly down on the day. I'm looking at other stuff. Sometimes AI is just wrong, I think. FedEx is a little bit higher, though. I'm wrong. So yeah, I'm still looking at this 585 level. We got some other news that dropped this morning. EU cybersecurity agency says disruption of several European airports was caused by ransomware. Netflix and AB InBev, which is ABIBB, announced a global brand partnership. LRCX was upgraded at Morgan Stanley. KLAC was downgraded. KDP downgraded at BNPP. Bristol Myers Squibb makes UK and US prices the same for its new drug, according to Financial Times. Again, we had that Pfizer Metsera, which is MTSR. Chinese security regulators asked domestic brokerage to halt offshore real-world asset business, especially in Hong Kong, according to Reuters, citing sources. The U.S. president is set to approve a TT deal via an exclusive order this week, according to the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. administration deems TT agreement legally compliant, officially confirms details of deal previously reported by media outlets. We also had the current administration is targeting financing for energy in developing nations, according to 5 officials cited by the Financial Times. Administration reportedly pressures World Bank to increase funding for fossil fuel projects. Aside from that, I don't really see. Oracle may recreate and secure a new U.S. version of TT algorithm under the deal, potentially, according to Bloomberg, citing a U.S. official. Yeah, we got Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow on economic outlook as well. Jerome Powell speaks tomorrow on what's called, I saw it earlier. Hold on, let me look this up. Yeah, Jerome Powell speaks tomorrow for economic outlook at the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce 2025 Economic Outlook Luncheon in Warwick, Rhode Island. So Powell does speak tomorrow. Nasdaq's fading down a little bit here. Yeah, why did does anybody know, like, is there a specific reason and why Bitcoin sold off early this morning? If you look at Bitcoin here, I think that's going to be one of the big stories. Altcoins are down, and look at this huge move. People are kind of sketched out by it too. They don't really understand like why this happened. I think. Let's see if we can find some more information, but very strange. Bitcoin experienced a significant sell-off this morning, 1 a.m. Houston time, 2 a.m. market time. Tumbled from over 15K to under 13,000 in a relatively short period. It appears to be a massive wave of liquidations in the derivatives market. Over the past 24 hours, approximately 1.7 billion in long positions were forcibly closed in crypto. A big portion of this, over $1 billion, occurred in a concentrated 4-hour window. When the price of Bitcoin began to dip, it triggered automatic sell-offs for traders who had used leverage to bet on the price going up. This cascade forced selling pressure and intense downward pressure on the price, causing the drop that we saw at 2 a.m. they're saying. Also, people are saying they're fading the FOMC last week. Yeah, pullbacks are healthy. I always try to tell people, like, I think pullbacks are healthy. You need pullbacks. People get, upset about pullbacks. Bitcoin, is still pretty close to all-time highs. I don't know what it's going to do. We'll have to wait and see. But it's still pretty close to all-time highs. And I think people are too bullish sometimes on anything. I'm not saying I want Bitcoin to go up. Sometimes people are so bullish that they can't handle any pullback, and I think you gotta just be okay with pullbacks. Yeah, and this week we honestly have a bunch of stuff. We have a bunch of Fed speakers. So just today alone, Williams speaks, Barkin speaks, Bailey, Governor Bailey from the Bank of England speaks. Tomorrow we have Powell speaking. We have Manufacturing and Services PMI, Bostic speaking tomorrow. Wednesday we got new home sales, NBA mortgage data. Wednesday's a little slow. We got Daily speaking later Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, Woolsby speaking. Williams, Bowman, both speaking on Thursday. Barr speaking on Thursday. Friday we have Arkin speaking. And this is not even including like PCE on Friday, GDP data on Thursday, jobless claims on Thursday. PCE expected to show up at 0.2% month over month, so it is expected to decrease for core PCE month over month. We also have Michigan consumer sentiment, but who knows what they're talking about over there. I love Michigan, but the Michigan data is wild. So on Jeffries, the iPhone 17 is supposed to be strong in China, weak in the US. Risk for Apple. Jeffrey sees solid iPhone 17 demand with long wait times in China boosted by price cuts and subsidies, but weakness in the US resale data shows no premium for base and Air models, leaving only the Pro Max strong. The firm warns Apple's average selling price warns that Apple's average selling price could be at risk. And according to Evercore, AI bull market still has room to run. So Evercore ISI says the AI-driven rally may be just the beginning despite growing bubble concerns. A client survey found 67% see a bubble forming. But strategist Julian Emanuel estimates only a 25% chance the S&P overshoots its 26 target of 7,750 and hits 9,000. He argues a bubble has a long way to go, comparing today's AI adoption to the early internet 1996 market, when markets rallied for years after Greenspan's irrational exuberance warning. current sentiment and gains lag far behind .com extreme. Still, Evercore expects volatility with pullbacks like those seen in the 90s and advises investors to focus on the Mag 7 AI leaders using options for asymmetric upside, end quote. Again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just kind of covering these different news stories that came out this morning. Again, gold at all-time highs. That's one of the big things today is gold. Gold's pushing. Crypto's down. I think gold wants 4,000 is what I think. And yeah, I think gold wants 4K. Catching back up in the chat. Yeah, the pullback today is very small. Bitcoin is the one pulling back. I would say like a large percentage. Brian, Sam, Satoshi, Nick, A, B, Dirt Guy, Ava, Dr. Crypto, Pawn, I, Inclusive, Bay, Williams, Ali, Trey, Dalvo, Kaiser, Cato, Brian, Crypto, D, Ace, what's up guys? Good morning. I'm not gonna go back anymore, but Randy, what's up guys? Alright. Yeah, Nvidia at 175.60s right now, 175.60s. Nasdaq's kind of flat. I still want to see if it gets over this level, and I kind of want to short it here. You know what? We'll try to short it if we can get up there to this level. I think we did pretty good last week. If I remember correctly, I think we did pretty good. Ah, I missed it, guys. I wanted to short this level. Let's see if it comes down a little bit. I think bears are in control a little bit more today, but I might be wrong. We got 2 micros, very small. We did make money last week, I'm pretty sure. Here. Yeah, I gotta get these levels right. Like, I wanted to short this. Just got in too early. Even if it's just a couple ticks. Here, I got your pawn. Let me pull up on Discord. The BYD stock falls after reports that Buffett sold his entire stake. Buffett exited his entire holding in BYD, according to a CNBC report on Sunday that also cited a spokesperson for the U.S. firm confirming the development. Bank of America sees stronger demand for ASML's chip-making tools amid AI boom. Covered some of this. Meta's pushing faster AI use in the US government. All right, so we're down a very small amount. But I will liquidate this as it pushes up. I just don't want to stuck in that. Oh, dude, I just added 2 more shorts. It's early. I just got up. Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I'm going to take these off right here. Oh, that's good, I guess. Okay, we got filled 1 down there. And now we're flat on the day. That's nice. I think I just hold this now. We're almost green. Should have stayed in that 4 contracts, but it's too large versus what I wanted. That's a big red candle, so. Yeah, that was definitely an accident. All right, we're green on the day now. That's good. The short idea worked. Kind of a liquidity grab right here. It's one of the things I've been focused on is setting my stops a little bit above where I actually want to cut it, because sometimes we'll trigger these type of moves. The levels work, but sometimes we'll trigger like just slightly over or under them, kind of liquidity grabs. Yeah, there's so many different people on YouTube with all these random names. I'm sure one's gonna pop up now. Accidental trading. You know. What is happening with cryptos? Yeah, I mean, liquidity is what I read this morning. Basically, they say 1.7 long billions, or 1.7 long positions were forcibly closed across the crypto market. Over $1 billion occurred in concentrated 4-hour window this morning when the Bitcoin price began to dip. It triggered automatic sell-offs in traders who had used leverage to bet on the price going up. It caused like a squeeze down, is what I'm showing here. I might be wrong. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I'm showing. If I'm wrong, let me know where. No economic data today. It's a little bit light, but the next few weeks are busy again. Next few weeks we've got, again, this week we got a bunch of Fed speakers. We got John Williams, Alberto Musalem, Stephen Moran at 12, Beth Hammock at 12, Tom Barkin at 12. Tomorrow we've got Bowman at 9 a.m. We got Flash Services and Manufacturing, PMI. We got Bostic at 10 tomorrow. We got Powell at 12:30. Wednesday, we got new home sales and Mary Daly speaking. Thursday, we got a whole bunch of stuff. We got Goolsby speaking early at 8:20. We got jobless claims and GDP at 8:30. Durable goods at 8:30. 9 a.m., we got John Williams. 10 a.m., we got Bowman speaking. 10 a.m., we also have existing home sales. And then GDP expected at 3.3%, though. Friday, we got PCE inflation going live at 8:30. And then Barkin speaking at 9 a.m. and then consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. and then Bowman at 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. So yeah, I think people are running out of names to name their trading YouTube channels. Like John with brown hair trading, you know. Headphones trading, you know what I mean? Top 3 worst trader. You guys have a good weekend? Mine was good. Yeah, big risks of a government shutdown today. Yeah, hit the like button. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, buy the rumor, sell the news. This is what I thought would happen in markets last week after the Fed meeting, if you guys remember. I mean, it didn't happen. I was wrong. But this is what I thought would happen. I thought we'd go up in anticipation of cuts and then drop once we got them. And so crypto kind of did behave that way. But honestly, man, people are really hyper-focusing on it. Bitcoin's kind of flat. It's down today for sure, and it had this big drop at like 1 o'clock this morning, but it's pretty much flat over the last little bit. That's okay. It's not that far away. It's 10% or so away from all-time highs. And so it's not that far. It's still got room. Maybe it doesn't hold. Maybe it comes back down. I know eventually we're going to get a bear market again in crypto. You know, and you know, people are saying, oh, Bitcoin's going to break 500,000 or whatever. Yeah, I think it will eventually, but generally speaking, from somebody that invested in it in some of the original cycles, as well as watched them generally the bear markets they're not short for Bitcoin. The last one was kind of the last one kind of coincided with the NFT crash, right? And when NFTs started failing, everybody started getting really skeptical on crypto as well. And it had if you look at Bitcoin, if you just look at how it behaved, right? Back here in 2021, this thing ripped all the way up. It dropped all the way down to under 20,000 by 2023. So again, 70,000 under 20, dropping all the way down under 20. And so the bear markets for crypto can be scary. The people who do the best generally are the ones that, again, I'm going to put this out there because crypto is kind of a different market. Not an investment professional. I have no idea what's going to happen. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Don't copy me. Understand all these rules. We can't guarantee anything. Top 3 least, financial professional people out there. But I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. With that said, though, the people who did the best last time are people who averaged into it on those dips. Here, I see something in the corner of my eye. It's weird. John the Kind. Yeah, hey. That's it. That's it right there. How are the new AirPods? They look cool. See, look how sideways the NASDAQ is. I would trade this, but go sideways, right? Amazon down. Here's Nvidia. Nvidia's got some volume, though. It's moving a little bit. Gold, again, pumping up. Is it time to buy the dip in gold? I don't want to. Yeah, Bitcoin's down. S&P, NASDAQ are down as well. But they're like, if you look at the S&P, NASDAQ, they're not really down that much here. I guess they're down some. What are the all-time highs, though? We're very close to all-time highs. All-time highs in the NASDAQ are 24,888. We're at 24,780. So we're really not that far away from all-time highs on the NQ or anything. All-time highs on the NASDAQ are only slightly above where the previous closing price was, So like, here's all-time highs right here. Not like we're super far away. Yeah, the kindness of my heart, I'm here. You're welcome. John the Kind. And it's early, but... Alright, so TikTok's algorithm is going to be secured by Oracle in the president-backed deal. Again, BYD is down. Okay, so according to RBC, the S&P could top 7,100 if Fed cut history repeats itself. So the S&P may surpass RBC Capital's 7,100 target for late 26 if past trends for Fed rate cuts hold. They note that the reset cuts after long pauses typically deliver 13% gains over 12 months, while non-recession cuts average 21%, creating upside risks to their forecast. Concerns include weak home building stocks, down 7% since September, slowing EPS estimate upgrades outside the top 10 market cap names, and narrow market leadership. On the positive side, investor sentiment improved, historically linked to 15% gains, while capital spending and equity fund inflows are rebounding. RBC concludes that despite near-term uncertainty, history favors further stock gains if the Fed's latest cuts are not tied to a recession. So that is what we see. Looking at our poll number, we did do a poll. 56% think yes, the market rebounds in today's open. 44% think no. All right, so I'm in gold right now, actually. I just took a gold position. I took profit just now already once in this gold position. I think I'm just going to let this sit. See how high it gets. So I'm in gold. I'll come back to this one as we do something with it. Yeah, Embraer announces LATAM airlines and affiliates to expand connectivity across South America. Yeah, I'm not telling you guys what to do. I have no idea. This is a day trade on gold. I don't know what it's going to do. But pulling back now, it seems like a interesting one. I already took a little profit in it already. But Russian president says new risks are appearing. Yeah, I mean, I'm just day trading gold. I already took profit on first position already, and regardless of what this does here, we'll be all right. It's such a small position. Yeah, Nasdaq's very sideways. You can kind of see this range here if we look at it. Just quiet. We made money on the Nasdaq too earlier, but range is kind of tightening out here. Going up and down. Not doing that much. Yeah, it's kind of the quiet day for the week. Yeah, the Russian president says the system of nuclear arms control has been destroyed. Situation and strategic stability continues to deteriorate. New risks appear. Russia is able to respond to threats. Yeah, so we got that going on. Oracle's, I think, an interesting one to watch today. Oracle's has some good news, and they're supposed to announce, according to sources, they're supposed to announce more details on the TT deal, and Oracle's at front and center of that right now. And Oracle's actually green on the day. It pushed up a lot on Friday if we take a look at it. So I think Oracle's interesting to watch today. I'm not saying to buy it. I don't know what the details are going to say, but a lot of people are watching it. Yeah, Disney stock, I usually I used to buy this all the time. I'd buy it around 80 or 90 and then sell it at like 110, 115. And so it's at the point in which I would normally sell it. I don't really want to buy it here. It's up on the year, but it's been in this range for years. So I'm just going to wait. Still early in the day. Home should be built with robotic solutions integrated. A humanoid bot is the dumbest, least efficient approach to home automation. Right, and I agree. I think what we're going to see most likely moving forward is different task robots, like dedicated robots in homes, right? But I also think we're going to see another type in which it's going to be more diversified, where it's going to be able to do many more things, maybe not as well, but instead of needing all these different robot systems in your home for all these different tools, Instead, you're going to have one that he does it a little bit worse, or they do it a little bit worse, whatever you want to call the robot. But it's going to be more diversified in that context, I think, right? As well as, number one, people are going to use it for, companionship. Not in a weird way, but like they're going to talk to it, and it's going to be their homie at the house, you know? I think we're going to see that for sure. And I think we're going to continue to see that. But, I do think that we're going to have specialized robotic systems in homes in the future. I think that's very clear as well. All right, so there's gold popping up here. I'm in nicely green here. I don't know what to do with this, but got a big pop. I'll take profit here and maybe buy a dip. All right, we're nicely green on this. We'll see if it continues. If it can't do a human job properly, do you think it's worth talking to yet? I mean, I don't. But I mean, I've got a family here, And I get enough people talking to me regularly anyway, But I don't think everybody's like that. I think you're going to have some people that do not have that and are lonely, and they're going to want to talk to it. And they could already talk to it. I think the problem right now is the integration between AI. I think you can talk to AI right now, and it'll talk back like a person. And I think we're already seeing that pretty regularly in the AI world, But I think they haven't quite mastered coordinating the movement with the AI, and I think that's the next step. And I think it's clear eventually we're gonna get that. When, I don't know, but I think that's the next step. Yeah, 1.7 billion at about 1 or 2 a.m. this morning. People are attributing it to crypto, what is it? Futures liquidations. So essentially like a short squeeze down in crypto from all the liquidated long positions is what people are attributing it to. Looks like I got out right at... I'm just short-term day trading this. I'm trying to build a cushion on the day, and then we'll figure it out. But I got out right at the top here, so that's good. All right. All right, so we got the Russian president speaking right now. He said Russia will adhere to New START treaty for 1 year. Russia is ready to stick to New START arms treaty a year after it expires if U.S. does the same. They expect similar steps from the U.S. And that news just dropped. Might be causing optimism, I don't know. Well, we're a long way out from that, mister. It just depends, though. Like, again, it depends on what you do, right? If you do some mundane task, if you teach different languages, if you do all these different things. The problem is that if a robot can do your job, what's stopping your boss from just hiring a robot instead of you? And that's the nature of the problem with people say with jobs, is because people are, but at the same time, it's inevitable. That's what's going to happen. Businesses will find ways to fix their margins with it. And that's pretty standard. I think that's pretty obvious. But someday that's everyone? No, it's not. I mean, maybe someday, but you're always gonna need people. All right, NASDAQ back up, gold rebounding back up, Oracle up on the day, NVIDIA 175.40s. Apple is up on the day as well at 246s. So that looks good. Got some upgrades, I think, this morning. And again, over the past 24 hours, 1.7 billion in long positions forcibly closed across crypto. Over $1 billion occurred in concentrated 4-hour window at like 2 a.m. And the price of Bitcoin began to dip. It triggered automatic sell-offs for traders who had used leverage to bet on the price going up. Forced a lot of selling pressure. A lot of people also attribute this to fading FOMC hype. The market had a positive reaction to last week's Fed meeting. Some analysts suggest that investors are now taking time to reassess and cooling off a little bit. Bitcoin had been consolidating and struggling to hold support at 115. Now it's back down significantly underneath that. NASDAQ's very flat, very, very choppy. Oh wait, sorry. My bottom scroller's wrong. I'll move that out the way. Yeah, my bad. There we go. Yeah, I forgot to switch out the scroller. All right, there we go. All right, NASDAQ finally broke up close to the top of that range. We got the 200 exponential right here, though. This level right here might reject it. Might not. I don't know. But 200 exponentials right there. You know, I think one of the interesting dynamics that I'm actually seeing right now, and I think this is interesting. All right, look at the markets push up. It could be on Putin's comments. Again, he said new risks are appearing. Strategic stability continues to deteriorate. But he also said they'll adhere to the New START treaty for 1 year, and they expect the U.S. to basically do the same thing. They're ready to stick to it as long as the U.S. does. But yeah, one of the things, okay. So I think we're always going to need engineering. I think we're always going to need physicists. I think we're always going to need like STEM stuff. And I think one of the things that we've seen over the last while is that like business degrees have been saturated, right? Like business, marketing, all these different degrees have been saturated. But what I think we're going to start to see is like, we're going to start to see business degrees get more interest moving forward, because I think business is a situation in which a lot of it's not replaced by AI. You know, I think one of the worst industries right now is programming. Programming, as somebody that programs, it might be virtually replaced by AI, essentially replaced. You might need like some really high quality devs at the top, but a lot of that market's getting replaced. You don't really need to program as much anymore now. And so I'm sure some of those guys are really struggling because you just don't need to do that anymore. It's not as much. AI can do a lot of it. So we're getting a little pullback. Let's see if this previous top holds support now. Yeah, I mean, there's always gonna be jobs you need. Yeah, if you're an electrician, you're pretty safe too. No 8:30 data today, no. You got some Fed speakers today. Let's not talk about devs. Yeah, I mean, devs are in trouble, man. Again, from somebody that programs, like, I'm mostly front end stuff, like JavaScript. But do you really need some of the junior devs that you used to need? You know? No, you don't. You know, I would say it's probably really hard to find a junior developer job now. At the same time, in some aspects of it, it's better. Like, I'm sure you could learn programming way faster right now. Like, if you want to learn programming, I'm sure you could do it way faster at this point in time. Like, back when I learned, we had to use stuff like Team Treehouse. And, you know, I used all these different ways to learn. I used to have to buy courses and do all this different stuff and ask people and have mentors and all this different stuff. At this point, AI could probably teach you how to program. I'm not going to say quickly because it's a lot of memorization is what it is. But if you're stuck somewhere now, you can just ask AI and AI will answer you. Like, you could literally take a snapshot and say, hey, where's the error? And AI will be like, oh, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, remember to do this. And you'll learn and pick it up much quickly. All right, so MicroStrategy purchases 850 Bitcoin for 95.7 million, according to an SEC filing. That news just came out. Redfin expects existing home sales to end 2025 roughly in line with last year. Housing supply drops most in 2 years. Swiss National Bank is going to hold the policy rate at 0% on September 25th, said 40 of 41 economists said one said cut to negative 25 basis points. Again, MicroStrategy buying crypto again. They didn't buy that much, but I think they're just doing it so they can announce buys. We'll see. But NASDAQ coming all the way back down again. Gold's pretty stagnant. It's flat. Oracle names Clay Magork and Mike Cecilia as CEOs, replacing Katz. So this news just dropped right here. Yeah, when I learned, bro, I had to teach myself, and it was not easy at all. It was just a lot of memorization, you know. Like import React, you know, import React DOM, import all this stuff. Memorize all of it, you know. I had to learn JavaScript and then React and then React Native and then all this different stuff by myself. Nowadays, it would be very easy to learn, I think. But the irony here is that nowadays you don't really need to learn it like that, especially front end stuff. Yeah, back end. I see somebody talking about back end. Back end's still necessary now, but eventually, you know, eventually that's going to, unfortunately, you know, AI will catch up. Oh yeah, trade jobs. They're gonna be fine. Plumbers, you know, electricians, contractors in general, they're gonna be fine. Robots are a long way out from that. A long way out from that. Yeah, the VIX is still kind of elevated. It's at 1615s. John's pro AI because he doesn't have to worry financially. I mean, I don't know if I'm even pro AI. Like, I think a lot of people are hiding from the truth. And the truth is just the truth, man. You know? I think, regardless of whether I want it to be big or I don't want it to be big, you know, trust me, I'm not really happy about learning programming and then AI completely replacing the need for that. It's not really something I'm excited about. But I think you have to look at the truth objectively. And I think objectively, AI is going to replace a lot of that. A lot of it. It's just obvious. Again, I think a dynamic we might see is business degrees and stuff like that being a little bit more important than they have been the last 10 years. They've been really saturated the last 10 years, but I think, you know, corporate business is not going to be as easily replaced by AI as like some of the STEM subjects, unfortunately, you know. And so there's risks everywhere. But yeah. Yeah, master electrician, you'll be fine, I think. What's up, Tiny? Hey, good morning. I think STEM is less likely to be replaced than business. I don't know, man. I think it depends on which STEM. You have to think, here's the base of that argument, is that AI can calculate things a lot easier than they used to be calculated, right? And so if AI can calculate things better than people, to a certain extent at this point in time, with less, you know, margin of error, what degrees are that going to replace? Right? And I think that's STEM degrees. I think you're still going to need engineers. You're still going to need physicists. You're still going to need doctors. You know, you're still going to need nurses. You're still going to need all that different stuff. But I think a lot of the lower tier jobs, analysts, stuff like that are going to be replaced. Now, business degrees are still going to be saturated. They might even be more saturated because now even more people are going to go to that. But they're going to be able to calculate things quicker and easier without having to pay somebody. And I think that dynamic's going to affect the job market. Now, who knows how? I don't really know. No, I don't think teachers are going to get replaced. Yeah, I think senior engineers can be sloppy too. I think humans have a, you know, margin of error, and I think AI certainly does at this point in time too, but that'll get better. I think we're gonna see it shift probably, but it's gonna shift towards, you know, prompt engineers more than actual engineers, if that makes sense. Like people who can figure out how to prompt AI to write the best code versus physically writing the code themselves. And so I think we're gonna just see people start to write code and then edit it using AI versus like physically or manually writing the code. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're still gonna need them, but you're not gonna need. Are you telling me that you think businesses are still gonna hire junior programmers to create stuff? I don't necessarily think so. Maybe they train them to be prompt engineers, you know, but there's gonna be less interest in hiring people. Yeah, Quantum is selling off. QBTS. I mean, a lot of this is down, but a lot of these are up huge though last week. Like if you look at like Rigetti's down now, You put a 5-minute chart up. Yeah, Quantum's still moving heavily, you know. Oh yeah, graphic designers are going to be some of the ones that struggle the most from it. Again, Adobe, I think, is going to lose business from it. And I think this is obvious. Photoshop artists, all that stuff. You just don't need them as much anymore. AI can do a lot of that stuff for you now for free. In 30 seconds versus something that might take you 20 minutes before, you know? So, but I think Adobe is, like, they are getting involved with AI, but it's still kind of a struggle for them, I'm sure. Yeah. We'll see how the net effect of that looks in a few years. All right, NASDAQ now at the bottom of the range here. We're back down to 769. Here's 65s. That might be a bounce level. Yeah, so a lot of the big news this morning is the Visa news. We got news earlier in the weekend, I should say. A big concern has been the new H-1B visa fee. The current administration proposed a $100,000 fee for new visas, which could weigh on tech and finance firms that rely on foreign workers. So, essentially, it'd be a $100,000 fee to hire somebody overseas to do certain jobs, I think. I've heard back and forth. I think it's just a one-time fee. I couldn't imagine it's a yearly fee. But you never know. Is it really $100,000 yearly fee? That'd be crazy. MetLife estimates variable investment income will meet its quarterly target of $425 million. So Redfin said active listings of home sales, of homes for sale, fell 1.4% month over month in August. Yeah, I think we're kind of seeing a dip in homes. Housing supply drops most in 2 years. We have some home data this week. Thursday, we got existing home sales. Yeah. See what that looks like. All right, gold and NASDAQ breaking down here. There's not any like huge news this morning. There's nothing like big, I would say, in terms of economic reports. It's slower. Monday. Very rarely do we have big economic reports on Monday. Most of the time, Monday's slow. Again, crypto market got liquidated a bunch. Short squeeze, or a squeeze on the downside, I should say. Squeezing longs out. We had a bunch of sell-offs in crypto super early this morning at like 2 a.m. You can see it right here. Dropped from about 115 down to 112s. A lot of people say it's future squeeze. Futures getting squeezed out of their long position short term. But I don't know. Gold is at all-time highs essentially today. All-time high now 37.6310 for gold. For gold futures, I should say. Why isn't the market reacting heavily? Well, that's still kind of an early release, like, of news. We're gonna wait to see more info on that. It's not really. The big news is really, I think crypto gapping down as much as it is. Like, listen, markets are around all-time highs still. Pullbacks are healthy. If something goes up too much without pulling back, there's problems. All right, so 6 bars plan to issue new U.S. high-grade bonds this week, according to Bloomberg. Dealers anticipate about $30 billion in fresh debt issuance. MicroStrategy now holds 639,835 Bitcoin, worth about $72 billion. DeepSeek announces an updated model, DeepSeek version 3.1 Terminus. You can see DeepSeek announces a new model. Gold has to hit 100 for me to be liquidated. Jim Cramer calling for stocks to dump so it'll rip at the open. Is he still the inverse? Is he still the inverse guy? Yeah, it's getting really close to Terminator, you know. I don't really like that name either, to be honest. It's not my favorite name for AI right now. Look at the bounce right here. Top 3 greatest levels ever here. Gold dipping down some too. Yeah, I mean the VIX is at 16s. It's still low, but it's there. What guy, Nick? Wasn't there the guy that shorted Bitcoin at 30K? Tesla gonna get over 430s? Yeah, Tesla here. It's had a crazy couple weeks. Elon bought $1 billion worth of shares. Wasn't that the guy that shorted Bitcoin at 30K? I can't remember his name. Maybe it wasn't 30K. Maybe it was somewhere else. Yeah, as long as they program AI to not have defense mechanisms, is I think what they need to do. I kind of want to buy gold on this dip again, though. Here, I might actually. See. Chinese Vice Premier He Feng meets U.S. delegation in Beijing. You guys red or green so far today? I'm green, slightly. But All right, so yeah, Chinese vice premier said China and U.S. have broad space for cooperation. They hope China and U.S. will promote stable, healthy, and sustainable development of economic and trade relations. Causing gold to come back down a little bit here. Gold still flushing down. I don't know if this is the news that we just covered that's causing it. It could be for sure. Put 1 minute chart up here so you can see it. Yeah, we made a little bit of gold buying this dip. So SAP are in talks with EU antitrust regulators to address concerns regarding software business practices, according to Reuters. So people still talking about AI here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what AI gets us. But NASDAQ bounce right here at 65s. Let's watch 85s now. I might short this. I like Tesla as a stock. I don't think I've ever said I didn't like Tesla as a stock. I just, I think Elon's too politically vocal. But outside of that, I think Tesla as a company is useful and interesting. All right, gold's still flushing down, man. It might be on the China news. That's a big drop for gold. Goldman Sachs raises S&P 12-month target to 7,200. Recommends buying stocks. Goldman increases the S&P target to 7,200, citing strong earnings this year. Stock remains historically expensive, but typically performs well during rate cut cycles without a recession. Investors should focus on companies with floating rate debt, benefited from falling rates, and on small mid-cap stocks sensitive to economic acceleration. Oh, dude, I was just about to buy gold right here. I made a little bit of money buying gold previously. The China news is that China basically just came out saying China's vice premier said China and the U.S. have broad space for cooperation, hopes China and the U.S. will promote stable, healthy, and sustainable development of economic and trade relations. They said, I hope China and the U.S. will communicate frankly and clarify doubts in accordance with principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation. Yeah, markets are down today. It's kind of boring, but If we continue. All right, so curious to see if gold continues to bounce here. Again, Bitcoin and crypto are down 112.7. What's the difference between me buying SPY or Q versus single stocks like Apple, Tesla, Google, Microsoft? I mean, the difference is that one's diversified and one's not. And so you could buy, you can buy the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ 100. It's the 100 largest stocks compiled into an index. The QQQ is an ETF of that index. Individual stocks, they're less diversified, obviously. Instead of buying 100 different stocks, you're buying one stock, two stocks, whatever, And so, yeah, one's less diversified. One's more diversified into 100. The other is just one. And so there's innately more risk investing into one stock versus 100 of, at least in general. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones. I track the Q, but there's a bunch of different ways you could buy it with less fees, to be honest. All right, so here's 8:30 here, guys. We are here at 8:30. Markets are a little bit slower today. We got GDP dropping Thursday, PCE inflation Friday. Gold pulling back after breaking all-time highs earlier this morning. I'm definitely interested in maybe buying gold again. But I think there's risks, but if gold bounces back up a little bit here. Gonna track all the news. Any stocks that you guys think are cheap up here? I'm still looking for stocks. I don't hold a large position right now in my swing trades. You guys see anything that looks cheap? Fake diversification, far too heavy on a few stocks. I mean, it's still diversified relative to individual stock, even if they're super weighted towards specific stocks. Like, they're still diversified. They might not be as diversified as you want them to be, and I understand. A lot of people are worried. All right, so we're out again. We just bought the dip in gold and cut it up here. Intel, I think, has got a lot of stuff going on with it right now. I need more info on that first. Alright, NASDAQ starting to fall back down here. Broadcom is going to sell US denominated notes in a 3-part offering. Where's AVGO at nowadays? At 340s. Pulling back from 370s. Still up a lot on the year, though. It was at 220s, 240s to start the year for Broadcom. Look at that 65 level right here, bouncing directly off of this level. All right, so there's 8:30. We don't have any economic reports today to speak of, not really. Still testing the bottoms of this range here. Look at that bounce, 765s. SoFi's up a lot. I like pullback stocks. Walmart. Dude, I went to Walmart the other day. I hadn't been in a long time. The only reason I went to Walmart is because we had a very specific... We needed coffee and dog food. And so Walmart's the place for that. Not going to go to Target for it, but... See, Walmart's still at highs of the year, though. Unfortunately. It's close enough. It's within 2 or 3% away from highs of the year. That's my only issue. Is that, like... For me to buy Walmart, I'd want to dip. And it's almost at all-time highs as well. I don't really... Like, I want something that is good. Alright, that might be a little simplified. But I want something that is healthy, but that's pulled back a reasonable amount where the likelihood that it's going to bounce back in another month or two, within another month or two, is high. If that makes sense. So usually I look at, like, PE ratio, margins, revenue trends, growth, and just look for something that's been overly beat up short term. There's no way I'm buying Enphase right now. There's no way. No offense. It's too beat up, unfortunately. You know? Amazon's okay, but... Adobe, I don't necessarily like the AI dynamic for it. I think it could be in trouble in that context, but... I don't hate the pullback, though. It's pulled back a lot as well. Trade desk. Here's solar. Here's Enphase's. People are talking about Enphase. Here's Enphase's margins right now. Their EPS. They're definitely looking. I mean, the growth over the last couple months has been good, but they're just slowing down. They're profitable, but solar is not a market that I'm super comfortable investing in. Let's see their revenue. Revenue's getting good, though. I mean, their revenue's not terrible. You look at it. Still down from 2020, 2022 levels. But I don't know about Enphase. It's too down. It's too... That's a negative trending sector, in my opinion, versus like an overreaction in some, like United Health is a good example of like an overreaction from a catalyst. The whole sector of solar is struggling. So. Netflix is around all-time highs. I think they will split sometime this year, probably. Like, I think Netflix is going to split sometime this year. So remember, I bought gold, but wait, how are we shorted gold? What? I don't know what I'm doing here. Somewhere I accidentally entered a short position on gold. I'm gonna cover that right now, and I made money on that somehow. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, Netflix. Netflix is really close to highs of the year, though, and they've done really well this year. They're up like 50% on the year or something like that. Maybe not 50. They're up like 20% on the year, 25%. So. Plug Power. It's a penny stock. I'm not buying it. This stock has gone from $75 a share in 2020 down to $2 a share. That's a different dynamic. What like the graph I want to see. I want to see a graph where over the last few years it's pushing up significantly, and then over the last few months it's dipping down in an overextended way, so that it looks primed to like next step is to increase, versus something that went up really big one year and then came all the way back down. That is not a stock I want to buy. That is not a dynamic that I think is good for investing. That's more indicative of either a failing company or a pump and dump. You know, I'm not saying that's what any of this is. I'm just saying there's certain stocks, like I'm okay with something that is healthy long term, but short term is dipping down. You know, I'm not really trying to buy something that did really, really well and then came all the way back down to where it was. You know, even though some of those like Carvana and other stocks that have done that, they've done well, but they're not the most common thing, you know. And so I'm looking to buy continuation overreaction pullback versus, you know, bottom feeding like a failing company, if that makes sense. Yeah, there's not really any big news out right now. And again, if you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. No PDT and futures. Great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose. And so it's a lot cheaper to $50 a month for the base. When you pass it, you get a 50K funded account. You fail it, you lose $50. It's not the end of the world. It's just a great way to learn. As well as like they have their back to funded option now. You can reset your funded accounts. 90% split once you're funded. You get to keep your first 10K prior to that split kicking in. So it's similar to funding your own account. If you fail, the base one's $50. And so just a lot of cool stuff. Zero commission on Top Step X. Really, really useful. This is what I use Top Step X. I draw these levels on it as well. And so, you know, you can check it out. They are a sponsor of mine, though. I am biased because I get paid by them. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. If you want to check them out, there's the link. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. Yeah, NASDAQ bounced right here at 765s. Again, I'm watching this level right here. It's kind of been stubborn at this level. Celsius? I don't know. It doesn't look bad. It depends on the margins, though. Celsius is still kind of struggling to, I mean, it's starting to show profitability. And so, but it's had one losing quarter in the last 3. So we're not going to get a PE ratio for it because of that. But it doesn't look terrible. It would just, if I did buy this one, it'd be small. Coca-Cola, I generally like doing this too. Good divvy for Coke. And it's pulling back some too this year. I don't hate Coca-Cola, to be honest, right here. And they pay a divvy, right? Yeah, they pay 51 cents a quarter dividend. Yeah, I don't hate it right here. All right, NASDAQ starting to break over that level, over the 200 exponential, starting to come back a little bit. Explain what ASTS is, Brian. What is ASTS? Explain that to me. I really don't know what ASTS is. You know? Are we waiting for news? There's not really any news today. We got some Fed speakers, but I don't think they're until much later. Yeah, like we got... We had Canadian producer prices coming at 4%. Previous 2.6%. Canadian raw materials negative 0.6%. Raw material prices year over year. Month over month 0.5 versus expected 0.2%. So Canada had higher than expected producer prices. Show up a couple minutes ago. Again, Oracle named 2 new CEOs. Reaffirmed guidance. MicroStrategy up. Or MTSR, I mean, is up. Pfizer is going to acquire MTSR for $4.9 billion. QUBT is down 13%. All right, look at the NASDAQ running here. Fitch upgrades Broadcom. Chicago National Activity Index for August. And so index here. I don't ever cover this because it's just not really market moving, but came in negative 0.12. Last time was negative 0.28 for 830. Not really market moving. Although it might have, I mean, markets are heading up right now. Okay, AST Space Mobile is going to have future competition from SpaceX. Okay, let me look up what this one does. Satellite designer and manufacturer based in Midland, Texas. I have to research more about it. I don't really know this one. Yeah, gold flying. I mean, gold has done big moves. It's pulling back a little bit short term here. 45 minutes into the opening bell. NASDAQ's running up. We've got a bunch of green candles in a row here for the NASDAQ. Might short this at 800 here. Start small. We're very green on the day already. See if we can add another piece up here to 800. Just see if this is where we start to get a pullback. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 green candles in a row. There we go. All right, we're gonna cover half right there. Cover the other half right there. We got the pullback we wanted exactly at the level we talked about. This is how I should trade my levels. Markets react to these levels more often than they don't, I think. Like, look at that. Good to go there. That's nice. Good trade. Yeah, Bitcoin again down big today, guys. Even if it gets bought up, we're already out. All right, so U.S. nominal GDP has grown 54% since the 2020 low, marking the strongest economic expansion since World War II. I'm reading off of the Kobesi letter. It says this surpasses the 53% growth recorded in 75 through 78. It also corresponds to an average annual nominal GDP increase of 6%, indicating rapid expansion. By comparison, the post-2008 crisis recovery saw 23% nominal growth until 2014. In dollar terms, the U.S. economy has grown twice as fast as it did after 2008. So, in real terms, it's about half that from inflation. All right, so NASDAQ breaking over that 800 level here. This is why I scalped that move, because I'm not going to trade against the trend long term. I just want to see a pullback. Let's see if we hold support at this level now. Fitch upgrades Royal Caribbean. Outlook stable. All right, guys. Nasdaq starting to bounce back. Gold, 37.50. I don't see any real news to push this. I think the market's just rebounding back up. Again, DeepSeek did announce an updated model this morning via the company website. Bitcoin is like the chart you mentioned. Yeah, but Bitcoin's a different animal. Like, in order to have swing trading risk, right? Like, I don't really like swing trading Bitcoin. It's too risky. Like, it's just a different animal, to be honest. Nvidia bouncing back up. I think Nvidia is driving some of this. Look at Nvidia's back up to almost 176 here. Treasury stock's gonna get slaughtered. Maybe. $2 billion market cap's pretty small. Yeah, it's not really what I want to invest in either, or swing trade either. Like, I'm looking for healthy companies that have been around a long time that are probably going to continue going up, that have pulled back distinctly, if that makes sense. So it's like, it's a very specific thing that I'm interested in buying on those swing trades. It's not like people like to bring up mid caps or penny stocks or all these different stocks, and I'm not saying they're not going to go up. I just don't really want to buy them, if that makes sense. What's up, Chef? Yeah, my weekend was pretty good. U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent states all options remain available to stabilize Argentina's economy. Where's Bessent speaking right now? He said Argentina is a systemically important U.S. ally. U.S. stands ready to do what needs to be done to support them. All options for stabilization on table. Where's he speaking here, though? Look at Nvidia still pushing here. Almost 176. Gold rebounding. 37.5s. Ask AI about this. Music end? Hold on, let me see. Let's see if we bounce at 8. Nvidia is driving this move on the upside right now. All right, so we're under 8. Gold's still rising at 37.5s. We've honestly made most of our money trading gold this morning. We've been buying gold dips. Small trades, but green nonetheless, if you take a look at them. See if that continues. Nasdaq's been rebounding with Nvidia here. I think another one that was green today, Apple, up to almost 250s here. That looks okay. Why is crypto risky when there's so much more positive around it this year? Because it's about risk management. I like Bitcoin. I'm in Bitcoin. I want Bitcoin to go up. Okay. I'm not going to swing trade Bitcoin though. The reason I'm not going to swing trade Bitcoin is because Bitcoin can drop very extensively short term. And I think Bitcoin's more of just long-term play. You know, I'm not going to try to call the tops and bottoms in Bitcoin. I like doing it for stocks because that's, for whatever reason, that's where my edge is. You know, like I've done this with what, 10, 15 stocks over the last few months. I've told you guys every time I bought them. And I don't think I've lost money on any of them. The closest one right now is Target, which I'm slightly red on my remaining position, but I think I had 4 times the position that I'm in now, and I already took profit. So I can't remember whether I'm red or green on Target, but I know I've made money on literally, I think every single one I bought. And so I know where the edge lies there. And with Bitcoin and crypto, while I'm bullish on them long term, it's just not something that I know for sure I have an edge swing trading it. You know what I mean? It's too volatile. It goes up and down, bigger percentages. It's harder to gauge where it's going to bounce. It's harder to, you know, like anything that can drop 5% overnight at 2 a.m. randomly. I mean, anything can do it, but I'm just not trying to buy that right now. I think Bitcoin might be good, but look, I can be pro Bitcoin and not want to swing trade it. And I think that's understandable. You know? Crypto will be broken once quantum computers start breaking keys. You think they'll even be able to do that though? Yeah, do you think they'll even be able to do that? I don't know. We'll see. All right, so now we're under 8. Down to under 8. Let's see if we hold. This level looked like it rejected clean though. Here's the 200 exponential. We got 84, 85s right here. Yeah, they say the sales are doing really well overseas for the iPhone. Not the best here is what I'm showing. Yeah, crypto's already up ridiculously large this year, you know, and a 10% pullback's not necessarily the largest pullback for crypto, so it's not the easiest to like see, you know. Robinhood's been crazy this year. It's up a lot too, though. And again, like, look, a lot of these are gonna just keep running, but it's a very specific stock I look for when I'm swing trading. The best one that I've seen out of the ones everybody said is Coca-Cola to me personally right now. Coca-Cola at a historical support and resistance area has pulled back since April, and good financials. I think the PE ratio is pretty low for Coca-Cola. Yeah, it's 22.75. It pays a dividend, so that might help bring it down, but it pays a quarterly div. It's down, you know. Probably is going to keep going up long term. And so there's one I'm thinking about is KO. Good day. Hey, bro. Come in. Good day, dude. Yeah, Tesla's been doing really well the last few weeks, but it's not really my favorite time to buy it when something does that. A lot of stuff's buy the rumor, sell the news in markets where by the time you hear about it, I had to explain this dynamics Honestly, the stock my friend wanted to buy, my friend reached out to me. He's like, yo, I want to buy this stock. Maybe he should have bought it because it went up. What I told him was that I have no idea what it's going to do. The stock was USAR. And I told him at the time, he called me, I can't remember where, like he called me about, I think it was at like 14. Or it might have been like here. I think is when he called me asking about it. And so it's kind of flat. But what I told him was like, there's a dynamic in markets. And I can't say, and I made sure to tell him, like, I have no idea. This thing might run big. I genuinely don't know. I don't know anything about this company. But there's a dynamic, and it's like, by the time you hear about something outside of markets, it's probably too late. And so my mom wanted to buy Dogecoin at 75, but by the time my mom's heard about Dogecoin, it was too late. Dogecoin now at what? 20 cents? I don't know what Dogecoin is at right now. I think I'm actually in Dogecoin, believe it or not, but 24 cents right now for Dogecoin. But a lot of stuff is, by the time you hear about it, it's too late. Especially if you don't watch markets regularly. Well, no, what I told him is this, right? Like, I researched this company for him. And I told him, I was like, it's a relatively small company. It's got a lower float, which means it can move up and down big percentages. And there's risk there, but there's also potential reward. Yeah. That's a good idea, Pawn. Maybe. But I told him it's big risk, big reward for this one. Like, small float, relatively new company, moves up and down big percentages, and so there's risks, but there's potential rewards, and that's all I know about this one. Right, when the pizza delivery guy starts saying he bought Bitcoin or a stock, it might be too late. And that's what I told her. I said, Mom, I don't know what Dogecoin's gonna do, but it's not really backed by anything, and it's probably not gonna hold, you know. And sure enough, it went from 75 cents, where she wanted to buy it, back. I think it hit like 12 cents back down. So very rarely do they hold. And it's a problem because by the time people actually hear about it, right, they think, look at this drop at 9 a.m. Whoa. Bro, I gotta start using my levels, dude. Look at this. I'm not gonna say it's the greatest level ever right there, but yeah, by the time you hear about it, it's probably too late. Now, there's always outliers, you know, like Bitcoin. It's probably a pretty big freaking outlier. But by the time you hear about it, if you don't trade stocks regularly or look at markets or you know, analyze markets daily, or not even daily, but a couple times a week, it's probably too late. No, she didn't end up buying it. I told her not to, and she didn't, you know. No. All right, so we had this big dip just now. I'm looking at the news. Bostic says, I see little reason to cut rates further for now. In the Wall Street Journal. Bostic sees little reason to cut rates for now. That is probably what's dropping the market, is Bostic saying there's little reason to cut rates further for now. I mean, I think it depends on the labor market. You know, not next week, or not this week, but next week we have another NFP labor report. And so it's going to depend on what that labor report says, to be honest, because, you know, if the labor market continues to be really weak and not look good, obviously that might be an argument for more rate cuts. And I think even what Powell said was that this is probably the start of a longer easing cycle. That made markets run from this speech. But yeah, it might have been technical. Personally, I think ETH is a scam coin. I don't think ETH's a scam coin. I think ETH probably has more utility arguments than anything. Outside of maybe Bitcoin, you know. What do you think is scammy about ETH? Now you can argue whether that utility is going to continue to be useful in the future for crypto. That's an argument, but I think there's a difference between that and a scam. Again, Bostic saying inflation concerns make him hesitant to now declare support for cutting rates in October. He said pencils in only one rate cut for this year, cautious on rate cuts amid inflation. He said he's hesitant to support additional rate cuts in October, citing persistent inflation above the Fed's 2% target. He currently expects only one rate cut this year, despite shifting economic risks towards weaker employment. He noted that while the recent rate cut was reasonable, uncertainty remains high and core inflation is projected at 3.1% by the end of this year, with unemployment rising to 4.5%. He warned that tariffs and immigration constraints could slow labor force growth and extend moderate price pressures. He described the current policy environment as one of the most challenging, with both inflation and growth risks rising. So a lot of people are going to argue that is stagflation. All right, guys, so we're still tracking what Bostic is saying here. All right, we're back up to that 800 level here. We got 25 minutes until the opening bell. We'll see if we get anything good here. Trying to wait and not go too crazy trading today. We're very green on the day, actually. Bostic says the current moment is one of the most difficult periods for policymakers because both risks are rising regarding inflation and labor weakness. What this is. He thinks unemployment will be at 4.5%. He said on inflation, he said I have 2.9%, and for core it is 3.1 for inflation. Do you guys agree with Bostic? How many rate cuts do you think we'll get this year? I'm going to do a poll right now. All right, how many rate cuts do you think we'll get this year? Go to the poll. Poll is now live. Again, I still think we're going to do 25, 25, 25, but a lot of it depends on what the market looks like, what the labor market looks like specifically. The labor reports, the labor report is going to be relevant next week. I think it's next week. Yeah, next week we have what Powell says tomorrow is going to be important too, but next week we got ISM services, non-farm payrolls, unemployment, jobless claims, non-farm employment data, ISM manufacturing, JOLTS, CB consumer confidence, Case-Shiller house price index, and Chicago PMI, along with pending home sales on Monday. So next week's very busy. This week's busy as well. We got GDP and PCE data later on this week. Yeah, so what they mean by this, guys. So how many rate cuts will we get this year? Total, right? Meaning not just rate cuts that are yet to happen, but rate cuts that we've seen previously. Like, how many total rate cuts will we get in 2025? So we got one last meeting. That's one. So we know we're at least going to have one, with a potential 3 being the outcome. So a lot of people are saying 2 rate cuts, 58%. So do you guys think we had one last week, and then we're going to get another one in December or October? Because, you know, the next 2 we have is in October and December. You got the one we're getting. So you think we only have one? Maybe, I don't know. Possible. 20 minutes left until the opening bell, guys. 20 minutes. Yeah, Fox, that's done. I changed the mic already. Should I make it red for red day, green for green days? Where's the NASDAQ at? We're still red, right? Yeah, we're still red. Yeah. There we go. Better. Yeah, I saw Buffett pull out a BYD. Probably a smart move. All right, guys, NASDAQ's very flat this morning. We're not really doing too much here. Apple's looking okay. Nvidia's green. Gold is still close to all-time highs, getting pretty close up there. We'll see if it holds. I don't know. We cut 25 basis points. If we look at the odds here, I don't know if I've looked at yields this morning. I can. Yields currently at about 4.125%. So they're actually up a little bit relative to where they were here. 4.125. You can see that since the Fed meeting last week, they've risen pretty extensively, but they're still pretty low versus where they were. But 4.125% for 10-year treasuries. If we take a look at the CME watch tool or the Fed watch tool, at this point in time, it's 92% likely that we cut again in October. At this point in time. Now, this is always subject to change, but at this point in time, we are 92% likely to cut in October. 25 basis points, 25 right here. We got about an 8.1% chance of a pause. There's a pause right here. So 8.1% chance of a pause, 92% chance basically of a cut, 25 basis point cut next month in October. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if it happens. So many headwinds, no inflation. Yeah. We going up or down today? I really have no idea. I hope we go up, but, you know, market doesn't go straight up. We're pretty green, though, in the day, though. We've been day trading all morning. We're pretty green. I think they begrudgingly, this meeting, next meeting, they'll use it for an excuse not to cut until December. Yeah. So 51% think we're going to get 2 cuts this year. Maybe we do. I really don't know. I really don't know. I think we're gonna get 25, 25, 25. But it's always subject to change. You don't know. Bear market crash is about to happen. I don't know, man. Maybe. We're up to 805s right now. 805s. You guys red or green so far today? Still kind of want to buy KO, even though I just went red. Did I buy Coca-Cola recently, though? I feel like I might have. Since July. I bought Marvell, S&PS, Treasury Bill, ETF, Crocs, Hims, Target, Amazon, United Health, PayPal. That's it. I think I made money on all of these too. Amazon, Apple, PayPal, Hims, Crocs, Marvell, S&PS. I know I've like Coca-Cola is one I'll swing trade a lot too, though. Let's see if we bounce at 8s. If we continue this trend on the upside, a lot of it's driven by Nvidia though, and Nvidia started to chop maybe like 25 minutes ago. Let's see if we bounce at 800 for the NASDAQ here. Two more 25 cuts. The reason for saying that because you think news will be bad for jobs. I don't know. I really don't know. It depends on inflation and jobs, right? Like if the labor report's not the weakest, but we have lower inflation, that might open the green door to earlier cuts, more cuts or earlier cuts. If the labor report's weak, even if inflation is hot, it's still likely that we're going to cut. But if inflation's hot and the labor report's strong, that's a situation where the rate cut odds might get pushed back some, right? And so that's a situation where you probably want to pay attention because we could see changes in the odds. Reading, yeah. It happens. We're down to under 800s now. Let's see if we get back up there, but I'll probably just wait for the bell here. We got 13 minutes till the open. Monday, markets are a little quieter today. There's not any big headline news making stuff move, to be honest, so. Yeah, news is still quiet. Bostic spoke not that long ago. Looks like he's done speaking. But yeah, stocks are rising in the U.S. economy. Oil prices are falling. Look at Apple push up. Apple just broke highs of the day. NASDAQ did bounce right around 8. Got underneath it for a split second though. Oil is down to under $62 a barrel here. Gold is breaking highs this morning again. Treasury yields are rising. Are we going to enter a recession sometime this year or next year, guys? Let me know. What do you guys think? Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't know. We'll see. We don't see the negative GDP. We got GDP Thursday. We don't see like super weak GDP yet. Now quarter 1 was negative. Quarter 2 was positive, and we get finalized quarter 2 day after tomorrow or Thursday. So we got time, but yeah, it's an interesting market for sure. We are not in a recession. But listen, I explain this to people because people think, oh, we're doing bad, we must be in a recession. We're not in a recession. A recession means 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters, back to back. You know, we don't have one losing GDP quarter yet. Not unless quarter 2 GDP comes out on Thursday negative from a 3.3% expectation. So unless it goes from 3.3% all the way to a negative number, which is highly unlikely, we're not even at the start of a recession yet, if that's the context of it, you know. Yeah, I'm mostly talking to Ricks, who said we are in it now regarding the recession. Again, I don't think we are. NASDAQ still pushing up today. Not quite at all-time highs because it's seen volatility this morning, but it's been in a big range but sideways. If you look at the NASDAQ here, we're pretty much big range sideways movement. Yeah, Apple got their new big update for their the first big update in a long time for their iPhone. If we're looking at Apple, that's why Apple's been doing well. If you take a look at it, that's why Apple's been rising. I mean, the whole market's been rising. Apple's one of the most heavily weighted stocks in the market, though, and so there's a reason it's up. China sales for the iPhone doing really well. People are making good money. There's jobs all over. Yeah, I mean, there's jobs, but I don't know about all over. You guys think gold will break all-time highs at the opening bell? All right, so Nick Timiraos at the Wall Street Journal said, Atlanta Fed President Bostic tells me he penciled in one more 25 rate cut inclusive of the one made last week in his last projection. He said inflation makes him hesitant to support an October cut. He said, I today would not be moving or in favor of it, but we'll see what happens. Warning that tariff cost buffer temporary protection businesses use to absorb trade-related expenses may soon deplete, potentially driving inflation as companies pass the cost on to consumers. You guys agree with this? Let me know. Nasdaq still climbing higher here. We're not really at all-time highs of the day here. The previous closing price, Nasdaq's still pretty green, or pretty red on the day, if you take a look at it. Previous closing price around 862. We're at 813s, 816s right now. So we still got a ways to climb up. Gold 3,800. Yeah, I think gold wants 4,000. Rate cuts at all-time highs 12 months later, market up 100% of the time statistically. Yeah, might be true. Yeah, we got the JOLTS report coming out next week, I believe, on Tuesday. See what that looks like. What will gold do? I don't know. I think gold wants 4,000 is what I think. And so what the market's going to do, what gold's going to do, I really don't know. I think it depends on the data. Depends on what Powell says tomorrow. Depends on what PCE shows up as Friday. A lot of question marks regarding all this stuff. So, I don't know. Video at 170s. Let's watch this 815 level. For some reason I have this on my chart. I don't know where it's from, but it looks to be previously respected at least a little bit here. Right here. I'm gonna wait. We're too close to the bell. We got 5 minutes left. So. Look at that. Top 3 levels. Yeah, when's the next Tesla delivery numbers come out? I know Tesla quarterly released delivery numbers. The last one I think was in July. We still got another month, I guess, for Tesla deliveries. All right, Nvidia pulled back a little bit. Look at that red candle on Nvidia here. $2026 will be bloody. I don't know, man. What I've noticed running like a finance stream for years is that people are generally wrong, and they don't like to be, of course, but like people are generally pretty wrong about this stuff. Like most of the time when people predict crashes, even like the last time people predicted a recession, last year, we didn't have a recession last year, but a lot of people told me the market was going to crash. It was going to be the end of the world last year. It was going to be the end of this and that. And, you know, the only time I actually thought we'd get a big correction, I sold in December of last year. And then by April, we got like a big correction. So I was able to avoid it. I still would have been green if I would have held through it though. But I did buy on the pullbacks as well some. So, but most of the time when people predict crashes and corrections, they're wrong. Right? This is not me telling you you're wrong about this next crash prediction. I'm just saying, and eventually we will hit a recession. It's just statistically gonna happen. eventually. The question is when. I don't know. A lot of people think we're in a bubble right now. I think there's a lot of stuff that could cause sell-offs in markets, and the economy could turn. But we don't necessarily have to. We just got rate cuts. The question, the big question you want to ask yourself is, are we cutting rates to avoid a recession right now? If that's the case, generally we get negative reactions in markets, but it varies. Or if you think we're effectively proactive enough to avoid a recession now, then, that might influence things. But I think the tariffs kind of cause a little bit different dynamic than usual. Nvidia's breaking down right now, though. Look at Nvidia. Let me see if there's any news that just came out. Yeah, I don't really see any reason for Nvidia dropping. Do you guys see anything? The market's red, so we just got a red mic today. All right, guys. 2 minutes. See what happens. About a minute, really. Your strategy for a recession? I'm not an investment professional. I'm using Top Step to trade today. If you want to day trade, check out Top Step. Great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose money, and so it makes a lot of sense to try this versus funding your own account thousands of dollars. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Before the opening bell, I want to make this clear. Check it out. Great way to help support the channel. There's the link right there in chat. My strategy for a recession is probably, buy cheap real estate with cash. I know everybody can't do that, but if rates get cut super extensively, you can, load up on stuff. Depends on what the market does during a recession. I think the stock market, if it does pull back, people who usually lose the most in crashes are people who get emotional and sell. So I'll probably average into stuff on the pullbacks and just wait long term. But you never know, and sometimes we get much longer bear markets in both of those, in real estate and stocks. And so it just depends on what happens. Either way, I'm holding long term. All right, here's the bell, guys. Yeah, you can hedge with gold. I mean, again, not an investment professional. All right, there is the market open. Look at Nvidia. Nvidia all the way back down to 175s. Also watching gold heavily this morning at the open for trades. I think either way, gold might push up, especially with some of the catalysts. But look at the NASDAQ run here. I wonder if it's Apple related. Yeah, look at Apple. Apple spiking at the open. We're 1 minute into the day, so I gotta wait too close to the opening bell for me to try trading this. Still spiking here. I'm waiting a little bit right now. I might buy a little bit of Coca-Cola right here. Just a small amount. See what happens. Down a lot. We'll see if it does well. Yeah, again, I have no idea. I try to just tell people what I'm thinking. I might be wrong about half the stuff I talk about. I don't know. Look at the NASDAQ bump up at the opening bell. Again, a lot of this is driven by Apple, good iPhone sales overseas. Tesla also going up a little bit at the opening bell. Nvidia is still looking kind of weak, but it did bounce back some here. So Tesla up to 430s. Microsoft looking a little weaker. Is BOXL boxable? No, it's box light. I don't know anything about it then. I don't really mess with penny stocks, but there's some interesting ones. Look at the NASDAQ run here, though, man. Apple. Google. Running up. Google green on the day. Might have to change my mic color now. Could have bought gold like I wanted to, man. Apple driving this. Apple over 250s. Nvidia starting to look greener. Yeah, it happens. Gold coming back down. Maybe it's a good idea I didn't buy. We're only 3.5 minutes into the day, though. I'm trying to trade today, guys. Uber. Uber's up to over $100. Gold dipping down a little bit. Of neon. So gold has broken down since the opening bell here. I'm trying a micro gold trade right here. Might add one more piece right here, see if we get a pop back up. But it's risky, and we're already very green on the day in this account. So either way, we'll be all right. There we go. We're gonna take half off there, a little piece. Take another piece, and we'll hold the rest. Actually, no, I'm just gonna cut the rest. All right, so yeah, we're up about 130, which is good. That's nice. Got the bounce on gold. Too big of a chance it might continue down, and I think we're still pretty close to the opening bell, so I might take a longer term trade today, but started it there. Still looking at the NASDAQ. Yeah, I mean, if we got stagflation, I think gold's going to be one of those, you know, I think gold might be a nice little hedge. If inflation gets to be a problem, what do people hedge with inflation in? Gold. So. Still in PayPal. I don't know what to do with the rest of this. Same thing with Target. Target keeps dropping. We're not in a terrible position. It's like a very small one, but thinking about cutting it. Yeah, I don't know if they have to tell us we're in stagflation. I think we see it. You know, high inflation, weak labor. Yeah, look at Tesla rip. Tesla at 440s right now. Bitcoin struggling. Of course, after the big liquidations early this morning that happened for it. All right, guys. Look at Tesla, 440s. Silver doing good. Yeah, silver, gold are going to correlate a lot of the time. All right, guys. So NASDAQ is kind of starting to tighten up a little bit here. NVIDIA now falling down under the VWAP, though. All right, we're getting pullbacks here in the NASDAQ. Let's watch 816s. Gold still at 3750s. Tesla dipping, NVIDIA dipping, Bitcoin dipping. Another rip. Yeah, I'm waiting here. NVIDIA just cracked lows of the open. Tesla's up a lot. I like Tesla long term, short term, it's up a lot. It could keep running, you never know. We got this flush down here. Do I want to buy the NQ? I think I need to switch accounts. I'm already up like a nice amount on this one. I don't want to give it back. Start adding a little bit here into this account. 825s. We add a little bit more down here. Maybe 2 contracts max. $816s was kind of the level, but we'll see if we got some time to bounce. Alright, we're gonna take half off there. There we go. Cut it right there just to lock it in. Oh, but green. Well, yeah, we're gonna see Powell until May of next year. Powell's not getting out of there until May of next year. Oxel. Yeah. Yeah, we got Powell speaking again midday tomorrow on economic outlook as well. Powell is set to speak on at the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce Economic Outlook Luncheon. So in terms of more Fed speakers today, we have Alberto Musalem, St. Louis Fed president, speaking at 10. So in 15 minutes. We've got Stephen Moran speaking at 12. We've got Beth Hammock speaking at 12. Tom Barkin speaking at 12. So yeah, I'll try to maybe add a little bit to target here, but it's not going to be a lot. Like, I got to keep this position small. I mean, the losses are negligible right now, but still, I'll give it a second. We bought KO and we're actually really nicely green on KO. We got it in a good spot, but where do you get this info? A lot of different places. Later, Corey. Have a good day, bro. Should have held that long position I had right here. I mean, we're green. I'm green on everything today. Very nicely green, but market's a little slower today. Yeah, I mean, we had a big. It's normal to get a little bit of a hangover the next week after big, like, economic reports and decisions. Like last week, we got the Fed meeting, kind of the Super Bowl, and it's normal to kind of like slow a little bit. This week we still got stuff. We got Powell tomorrow. We got PCE Friday. We got GDP Thursday. Jobless claims Thursday. All of it's interesting to watch and relevant. Yeah. There we go. Again, check out Top Step. Beautiful way to help support the channel. No PDT in futures. Day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell. Very similar to day trading stocks. They now have their back to funded option, which gives you a way to re-buy back in funded accounts. Really useful. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow in futures. So most day traders are going to lose regardless of where they go. Usually it's a lot cheaper to lose here than it is to fund your own account thousands of dollars and lose that. That's just obviously true, I think. But again, I'm biased, not an investment professional. Zero commission on Top Step X as well. Really useful. Check them out here. No, I don't even know what Trade Exchange is. No, I don't use either one of those for the data. Higher labor report or higher inflation report and lower job report can stagnate the rate. Yeah, I mean, it can push back odds for rate cuts. If we get high inflation and weak labor, I mean, weak labor is going to increase the odds of rate cuts, but it'll reinforce a stagflation situation. What'll push back odds of rate cuts is strong labor and high inflation, right? Like strong labor and high inflation will push back odds because people will say, hey, we don't need to cut rates. The labor market's strong and inflation's a risk, right? That's a situation where there's risks. Yeah, it's hard for me to vet D, so I can't really, In a tight range over the last 10 or 15 minutes, but we're still kind of quiet here. Tesla's still looking very strong at 440s. Gold breaking down here. I made a lot of money buying the dip in gold. NASDAQ just broke recent highs, close to highs of the day. Yeah, I think actually the NQ just broke highs of the day. I'm gonna have to change my mic color now to green. There we go. It might be back red though, but I'll leave it. Maybe I should just turn it back to yellow. I don't know. Powell last time was more dovish than I thought he would be. He basically acknowledged weakness in the labor market the last Fed meeting last week. So I don't know. Labor report's coming next week. PCE's coming this week on Friday. So we'll see. We got time. All right, so we're still pushing up. We're at 860s right now. 860s Tesla pushing up. Gold bouncing back a little bit. Nvidia's been running up. It's at 176, and it looks like it's rejecting a little bit now. I was full dovish last week. Yeah, I think. Looks like the market wants to go green, and it's possible we do. Yeah, I think Powell was dovish last week. I don't know how dovish, but it's always subject to change. Again, we got a lot of reports this week and next week that might influence the Fed. PCE data Friday's big. It's inflation data. It's relevant. That might influence things. We'll see. And it looks like Powell would rather see. Market looks like it wants to break out. Yeah, I mean, it looks strong right now for sure. A lot of this is Nvidia and Apple. Nvidia, Apple pushing up this morning. Here's Nvidia. Nvidia getting close to the top of the range now. It doesn't mean it's going to hold, but it's getting close. It's up there. Yeah, I would say it was more dovish than normal here. Yeah, we don't really have any big data here. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Again, check out Top Step. You want to help support the channel. No PDT roll in futures. Kind of a quieter day. We're pushing close. We're looking bullish, but I'm very green on the day. I don't want to risk that. And so I'd rather just kind of bow out for the day, like green. And yeah, y'all be safe. Again, check out Top Step if you want to help support the channel. No PDT roll in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, Gold. There's the link. Great way to help support the channel. But I'm going to get out of here. Understand all this stuff on screen. I'm biased. I'm sponsored by them, so I'm biased. Genuinely useful for traders. So it allows people to get started for cheap and risk less learning to day trade, in my opinion. But yeah, if you want to check it out, listen, as soon as I close this stream, it's immediately going to bring you to tomorrow's stream. Again, just joking for liability, but I expect you to sit there, no bathroom breaks, no music. Focus until tomorrow, guys. Be there. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day.